It's the year 900 before Christ. A time traveler arrives in ancient India and gets asked where he came from. He answers he is King Kakutmi and he came back from the heavens, where he met Brahma, the creator of Hinduistic beliefs. And now that he returned, ages have passed. Nobody remembers him and people seem a lot more stupid. With answering that question, he seeds the very first time travel story in human history. The year is 300. The story has arrived in Japan. It has changed a bit. The famous Japanese fairy tale that now gets told features a young fisherman named Urashima noko, who, as the fairy tale tells us, bought a turtle that brought him to an undersea palace. And when he returned back to the surface, 300 years have passed. And nobody knew him anymore. All his relatives were dead. The year is 1733. The oldest written story about backward time travel appears. It's called The Memoirs of the 20th Century, in which an angel travels back to the 17th century to deliver letters from 1997. The year is 1881. The first story where someone actually changed something after time travel in the history and changed history was developed. A time traveler in hands-off travels back to ancient Egypt and prevents Joseph from the Bible to get enslaved by the Egypts, thus changing history. The year is 1883. The now still famous story A Christmas Carol makes up for the first story that has traveled in both directions of time. Ghost of the past and the ghost of the future. In 1895, H.G. Wells writes the first story where a human travels back not through angels or demons, but through an actual time machine that he invented. 1960, a film adaptation of The Time Machine wins the first Oscar for time travel movies. The year is 1985. Back to the Future brings time travel into the mainstream media and mainstream mind. It's the year 2007. Netflix brings a bunch of time travel stories to all the binge watchers out there. The year is 2020. YouTube overflows with all sorts of time travel videos, inspiring a whole generation who dreams of inventing the first time machine. It's the year 2275. The inspiration led to advances in technology and ultimately to the first time travel in human history. And which target did they choose for their first time travel? They wanted to see the first time travel story, of course. So they traveled back to the year 900 before Christ, leading to a bootstrap paradox. So normally YouTube videos would end here, saying it's impossible to tell where it started, where it not started. It's a chicken and egg problem. But this video is called When Did It All Start? And I'm going to try to answer that question. So what you have is an infinite loop. In order for the history to start, you needed the time travel back to the past. And in order for the future to happen, the past had to happen. Now, if you really had to pinpoint a beginning of it all, it had to be in the past. Without the past, there wouldn't be a future where people could travel back to the past. So we know the past has happened before the future. Now you're probably saying, without the future time travel, there wouldn't be a past where a time traveler came back. Well, it's almost impossible and really unlikely to an insane extreme amount. But it's not impossible that a random quantum fluctuation led to a man appearing out of nowhere that tells the story to ancient India without there actually having been a future before that. Well, future before. So he didn't really come from the future, he just thought he would come from the future, or he just told the story. Because he appeared out of nowhere just by chance. All the molecules, all the atoms, just by chance, happened to randomly appear that way. As I said, this is close to impossible and very unlikely. But given that the other options are actually impossible, the chance of it happening is 100%. Okay, now, things that are more likely than this actually happening is the world is just a simulation, or the fact that on the very first happening of this, there could have been a history where no time travel happened, no inspiration happened. Time travel was invented, however, in the year 3275. The time traveler then traveled randomly back to exactly 900 and randomly told that story. That's still more likely than the random quantum fluctuation probably is. That requires, however, a thinking of time where history can change, because then that event of traveling back would have changed the future. If the future always existed in that way and then leading to the past and the past leading to the future, if you had to pinpoint a beginning of that, then yeah, you probably would have pinpointed at the past, or you can't tell Okay, I'm super excited for you guys to discuss this in a comment and rip apart all my theories. So my last video was about stories like the time travel story, surviving for thousands and tens of thousands of years. You might want to check that out here.